our corner video. If you hear anything in the background, it is our little black fox playing around. She didn't want to be left alone, so I brought her with me, but she is playing with her toys. So that is the background noise you might hear, okay? She's just having fun. So for this ASMR, I have a few triggers and a cool, creepy story, okay? I first wanted to check if this sound might be triggering. At first I wanted to throw this one away, but then I heard the sound it was making because it is empty. And I was curious whether or not you would hear it in the microphone. So this is a little test as well. You could make different triggers with one item. That's quite cool. And I've brought this cute pillow. It's so soft. So what I was thinking is that I will be doing a little bit of this while I am telling you a very scary story. I don't know if you hear this in the mic, so we'll see. Still a little bit in the testing phase. So here I have, very bright, my story. My creepy story, okay? Get comfortable. Lay down. Lay down. If you want, you could close your eye. Close your eyes if you want to. But you could still relax. Make sure you're relaxing while I'll tell you a very creepy story. Okay. This will be chapter 1. On the outskirts of the small town Redbrook, hidden deep within the woods, stood a mansion long abandoned, 𝗨𝗣𝗟𝗢𝗏 Manor. was a colossal structure, once magnificent, but now a relic of a forgotten time. The locals spoke of it only in whispers, and no one dared to approach it after dusk. It was said that the house was cursed, haunted by the spirits of those who died there in a mysterious and gruesome way. But none of that mattered to Sarah Whitfield. Sarah was an ambitious journalist in her mid-30s, always on the lookout for a story that would propel her career to a new height. She had heard the rumors about 𝗨𝗟𝗘𝗦𝗏 Manor, and instead of feeling fear, she felt the thrill. This was the opportunity she had been waiting for, a chance to uncover the truth behind the legend and write a story that will be the talk of the town and maybe the nations. One crisp October evening, she received a letter in her mailbox. It was strange. No one used letters anymore, but this one was handwritten. An old parchment sealed with wax in the shape of a raven. The letter was an invitation to spend the night at 𝗨𝗟𝗘𝗦𝗏 Manor, signed only with the initials A.B. Intrigued, Sarah decided this was the perfect chance to explore the manor for herself. Armed with her camera, a voice record, and a flashlight, she set off for the manor just as the sun dipped below the horizon. Chapter 2. The Arrival. As Sarah drove closer to the manor, the trees grew denser, their twisted branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. The road, once paved, became a gravel path and nothing more than dirt. Her car's headlights cut through the thickening fog, revealing glimpses of the mansion between the trees. 𝗨𝗟𝗘𝗦𝗏 Manor loomed ahead, its silhouette sharp against the darkening sky. The mansion was even more imposing up close. Ivy clung to the walls like veins on a withering hand, and the windows there like black, soulless eyes staring back at her. The air was heavy with the scent of damp earth and decay. As she approached the front door, she noticed the intricate carvings on the wood, a series of ravens in the flight, their wings spread wide as if they were trying to escape something. With a deep breath, Sarah pushed open the cracking door and stepped inside. The interior of the mansion was as delicate as the outside. Dust on every surface, and webs hung like ghostly drapes from the ceiling. The only light came from the flickering flame of an old chandelier, casting long shadows that danced on the walls. The air was thick with an oppressive silence, broke only by the sound of her footsteps echoing through the empty hallways. She began to explore, taking pictures and making notes. The rooms were filled with the remnants of the past, broken furniture, shattered mirrors, and portraits of stern-looking men and women. Their eyes seemed to be following her everywhere. The deeper she ventured into the mansion, the more uneasy she felt, as if something was watching her from the shadows. Chapter 3. The discoveries. Sarah found herself in what appeared to be the library. The walls were lined with bookshelves, most of them empty or filled with rotting books, but one book caught her eye. It was a large, leather-bound tome, untouched by time. She pulled it from the shelf, and as she opened it, a chill ran down her spine. The pages were filled with handwritten accounts of the manor's history, detailing a series of tragic events that had befallen its previous inhabitants. The most disturbing part was the last entry, dated over 100 years ago. It was written by a man named Alexander Blackwood, the last known owner of the mansion. He spoke of a curse that had been placed on the house, a curse that trapped the souls of anyone who died within its walls. The final words of the entry were smeared with ink, as if written in a haste. They come at nightfall. There is no escape. A sudden thud made Sarah jump. She turned to see a book had fallen from the shelf behind her. As she picked it up, she noticed something strange about the floor. A large section of the wood was worn, as if it had been opened many times. Curious, she pried it open and discovered a hidden staircase leading into the darkness. Without hesitation, she descended into the unknown. Chapter 4: The Descent. As the air grew colder and Sarah made her way down the narrow stairs, her flashlight beam barely penetrating the darkness. The steps cracked under her weight and the walls were damp to the touch. The passageway seemed to go on forever, spiraling down into the depths of the earth. Finally, she reached the bottom, where a heavy wooden door barred her way. It was adorned with the same raven symbol she had seen on the letter on the front door. With trembling hands, she pushed it open. The room beyond was a stark contrast to the rest of the mansion. It was pristine, almost as if time had stopped within its walls. It is the center of the room was an ornate table, upon which sat an old leather-bound journal. The cover was embossed with one single word: Confessions. Sarah opened the journal. Her heart was pounding. The entries were written in a neat, elegant hand, and they told the story of Alexander Blackwood, the man who once owned the manor. He had been a scholar, obsessed with the occult and the secrets of the afterlife. His research led him to discover a ritual that could grant immortality, but at a terrible cost: the lives of others. As she read on, the journal detailed the gruesome experiments Blackwood had conducted on those who had worked in the manor, sacrificing them in an attempt to perfect the ritual. But something had gone wrong. The ritual had backfired, and instead of granting him eternal life, it had cursed the house and bound the souls of his victims to it forever. Sarah's hands shook as she reached for the final entry. It was a confession of guilt, a plea for forgiveness. that had never come. Blackwood had tried to reverse the curse, but had failed, and now his spirit was trapped in the manor along with the others. A sudden gust of wind extinguished her flashlight, plunging the room into darkness. She fumbled with the switch, but it wouldn't turn back on. Panic set in as she realized she wasn't alone. Chapter 5. The Haunting. A cold, unnatural wind swept through the room, carrying with it the sound of whispers, inaudible at first, but growing louder and more distinct. They were voices, dozens of them, all speaking at once. In cacophony of despair, Sarah could feel the presence, the weight of their suffering pressing down on her. The door behind her slammed shut, and the temperature dropped even further. She spun around, her breath visible in the freezing air. The shadows in the room began to move, cascading into a vague humanoid shape. They were the spirits of Blackwood's victims, their faces twisted in agony, their eyes hollow and lifeless. One by one, they began to approach her, their hands reaching out as if to drag her into the darkness with them. Sarah backed away. Her heart is pounding in her chest, but there was nowhere to go. The walls seemed to close in on her, and the air grew thick with the scent of decay. She tried to scream, but no sound came out. The spirits surrounding her, their whispers filling her mind with images of their deaths, horrific scenes of pain and suffering that she couldn't escape. She could feel their cold, clammy hands on her skin, pulling her down into the darkness. Just when she thought she would be consumed by the darkness, a blinding light filled the room. The spirit recalled, hissing in pain, and Sarah felt herself being pulled back to the surface, away from the horrors that had nearly claimed her. Chapter 6. The Escape. Sarah awoke to find herself lying on the floor of the library, the hidden staircase gone, as if it was never existed. The journal was still in her hand, but the pages were blank. No trace of the confessions she had read. The air was still, the oppressive atmosphere lifted, but the memory of what she had experienced remained. Disorientated and terrified, she stumbled out of the mansion, from her mind racing. She had to leave this place, to get as far away from the 𝗨𝗏𝗟𝗢𝗨 mansion as possible. As she reached her car, she glanced back at the mansion one last time. It stood silent, its dark window staring back at her like eyes that had seen too much. She drove away, the shadows of the trees stretching out behind her like the grasping hands of death. But even as she put distance between herself and the mansion, she knew she could never truly escape. The spirits of the 𝗨𝗏𝗟𝗢𝗨 mansion were with her now, their whispers echoing in her mind. She never spoke of that night to anyone, but the nightmares never left her. As if the years hours passed, she began to notice strange things happening around her. Objects moving on their own, cold spots in her home, and always the feeling that she was being watched. One day another letter arrived, sealed with a raven. It was an invitation, just like before. But this time she knew what it meant. The spirits had claimed her, just as they claimed so many others before her. Sarah Whitfield was never seen again. That was a small scary story of Sarah Whitfield in the Black Hollow Mansion. What did you think of that scary story? I thought it was quite scary. I can always picture a little bit the story in my head, like a film. And it was pretty scary to me. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you can still sleep now. But you are safe. You're safe. You're safe. And relax. Safe. Go to sleep. 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 Go to sleep, cutie pie. Go to sleep, cutie pie. You're safe. You are safe and sound. You can go to sleep. You are safe. You're safe. You're safe. Go to sleep. 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 Sleep tight, cutie.